our warm up. Okay, so these are going to be continuation notes from you. So the first thing that we're going to do is label either the opposite, the adjacent, or the hypotenuse side. So if we are here at the x, is the 9 opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? It's the adjacent. Okay, and the 10 would be the hypotenuse. Okay, so we did that part. Same thing as yesterday. And then we need to choose a trig function. So a and h together, cosine. And then we write our proportion. Okay. So the cosine of x degrees is equal to 9, the adjacent side, over the hypotenuse 10. Okay, so up to this point, it's exactly the same as what you did yesterday. The solving part is what's different. I am not going to cross multiply to solve this, okay, because the angle is sort of attached to this cosine, right? And if I will never be able to get x alone, this doesn't say cosine times x, so I can't divide, and it doesn't, so what I'm going to have to do is do what's called the inverse. So we're going to do the inverse for both sides. So if we wanted to write the inverse, it would look like so. The little -1 means inverse. So the inverse of our function, they cancel out, they undo each other, so we just get 1. So 1x equals, it's called the inverse. That's just the way it looks. Of 9/10. And then we're going to be able to put that in our calculators. I'll show you how to find that in just a second. Now, if you have an older professor one day, you might hear it called arc cosine. Means the same thing. The way that you would read this is x is whose angles, the angle whose cosine is 9/10. I had to think for a minute. An angle whose cosine is 9/10 is what we're looking for. All right, so let me pull up the calculator so I can show you where those buttons are. Let me clear it. Okay, so if you were to go to the second key and cosine, you'll see it above here with the little -1. And then you would type in 9 divided by 10, if I could see the 0. And you hit enter. So it's around 25.8 degrees is the angle measure. Yes. Yes, sine. All right, so sine of x degrees is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So since we're looking for the angle, we're going to use the inverse key. Oops. Where's my eraser? Because you'll have to round your answer. Yeah. Now remember, juniors, ACT Tuesday, you can't use your phone's calculator. So go out and get you a scientific calculator, $12-15 one. Just make sure it has the sine button, cosine button, and tangent button, and you should be okay. All right? By the way, how can we find the third side of this triangle? Let's talk about how we would find the third side. What could we do? We could do Pythagorean theorem. Absolutely. Yes. We could put the angle back in and then do what? Exactly. So there's multiple ways that we can get this side now. Okay, so Pythagorean theorem, since we do have, two sides. Or we can do sine cosine tangent. No. I'm just trying to spiral back a little bit. That's all.